Hi, and welcome everyone to this November 12th, 2024 Cross Project Council meeting. I'll be chairing today because Joe is enjoying himself in the nice weather of wherever he is right now for work. So we will have a short session at the end to discuss travel funds. Do we have any announcements to make?
Maybe not an announcement, but a big thank you to everyone who's been hosting events in the last month. I know, where's Adrian? There you are, City JS Medellin. Super privileged to attend that along with some other folks on this call. Then we were really fortunate to have GitHub Universe host us and have a booth. Claudio rocked it on the booth duty and we met lots of cool people. And then we had a couple of events in Ireland. We had NodeConf EU and the Node Collab Summit. So lots of together time, which was awesome. It just reinforces how good it is to break bread and see each other face to face. And then I get to see Toby and who else next week at the Linux Foundation Member Summit? Anyone else here? Yeah, Adrian will be there, Ben. So good stuff. So, and then of course, we're going to be jumping in and talking about JSConf shortly. So, yep. And
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, please.
The call after this one, the JSConf? Sorry.
We don't have a call after this one.
Okay.
No. But Alfie's here to talk about JSConf Chile. We've had lots of new friends we've met around the world who are JSConf folks. Adrian has an announcement related to JSConf for 2025. We do too. We announced our dates for North America, which is going to be October 14th through 16th in Chesapeake Bay, which is Maryland. So you can fly into Baltimore or Washington, D.C. Adrian, you want to give an update?
Sure thing. Well, we are announcing JSConf Latin America, basically JSConf Latam. We already have some partnership in place with Chile, organized for JSConf, and also with Mexico. We are working with some folks in Brazil. Eric Wendell maybe will be interested, and looking forward to get someone from Argentina too. And the idea is to obviously level up the event for next year. We are planning for November early, so it will be very close to JSConf North America, but the region deserves the opportunity, and we need to, work for giving the people that can attend North America a space like, that to share and learn in the Node.js and JavaScript ecosystem. So that's our goal for next year.
It's wonderful. It's very exciting. Congrats. I'm looking forward to to attend and or see that happening.
Okay, I'm going to record this now, Toby. So you already promised to come here. So that would be nice.
said and or. I'd love to come. We'll have to figure it out. But
I'm just I'm just kidding, but yeah.
And it is recorded, so
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great, and what I've never been to Latin America, and that would be like a great occasion for me to do that. So I'll take this as an invitation.
You can ask around. We are, really good hosting people here. So
I've heard about that for sure. All right, any other announcement before we dig into the agenda?
Other than we have a board meeting on Monday. So we took November off October off, I think, because we were bumping into November. So we do have a board meeting on Monday.
And so as a result, we don't have any board meeting updates for today. So that takes care of that section. Thank you for the segue. That's perfect. So I'm going to move directly to staff updates. Are there any updates on the legal info that we're waiting on, or the staff updates? I'm looking what the legal info is. There's a few items here. Whether we should update OpenJS CLAs to match like the new ones from Apache. um, a number of open issues here. I can just share that in the chat. Wondering if there's any update this week, or if this will be for the next time.
I am pinging our legal JIRA right now for those two CLI ones to try and get an update, because we haven't heard from them in quite a while.
All right. Same question for I don't know if there's anything on the staff update, but
I don't know if it's the nonviolent communication. I have a meeting with Elise where she's going to share her draft agenda that I can provide feedback on. That's on the 27th this month. So I'm sure I'll be doing it from the kitchen while it's the day before Thanksgiving, but she has a partner that I'm pretty excited about as well. So once I get, all of that, the agenda, I'll bring it to this group for some feedback on shaping that, and we'll think about how we can scale it to the CPC and others who want to attend.
All right. So it has a meeting planned end of November. And will update us.
Yeah, actually, what I wanted to just quickly kind of a reminder, which is kind of off topic. So we wanted, because I saw that the issue for reviewing the Webpack charter is all the way down the ladder, but we haven't reviewed it yet, and the main reason is because last 2 weeks we were off. I wanted to ask if we could prioritize reviewing the charter today. I think that would be a good thing to unblock Webpack, if that's fine. I'm also fine just doing the next meeting. I don't know.
Is this the charter where I did a review a couple of weeks ago, and I'm waiting on an update for reviewing again? Because if that's the case, then we've got a review in the meantime. All right, so okay, noted. Well, we won't forget to address this.
Okay, I mean, it got updated, but not reviewed again. But it got just reviewed by you.
Okay, makes sense.
I want the whole CPC to, what the
Oh
voting
yeah,
members.
sure. I'm not claiming exclusive review rights of charters. Oh my God.
I mean, I can sweeten a deal if you want for the right price.
All right. Let's start. So we wanted to start with Alfredo, who is joining us today, and that is, well, that's great because it's issue 1392, which is the first issue. So let's get started with this.
Thank you, Toby. I want to make very clear that I'm not part of the organization of the JSConf Chile. I'm just someone who's attending. I do know the people who are organizing the event. So if in any case you want to do something with them, I guess we're still on track to do something. But this is basically just me asking how to contribute to bring something from the OpenJS Foundation, from Node.js or Express or any project to the conference to make some presence, and if that can be in the form of whatever, stickers, flyers of information. I can cover the cost of printing them right now for this time. So that's it. That's just me asking how can I contribute to make a presence in the conference.
Okay, so we love when people come up and just want to help, right? So first of all, thank you very much. I don't know what exactly we have to help support you, and I'm turning to Robin and Ben for help here.
We have artwork that's probably not in our artwork file that we can share with you, where we print stickers. I found shipping internationally is really hard. We've had, side note, hi, Eric Wendell, we've had your trophy bouncing around, North and South America. It's now in my house as of 2 weeks ago. But anyhow, we're happy to share that artwork with you if it's easy for you to print stickers. That's kind of the extent of what we've done, unless we have T-shirts through, for collaboration summits. So for sort of smaller groups. Ben, you want to maybe share it with Alfie off, or you're on our Slack, obviously. We can just send you some links,
Yes.
the stickers.
Yeah, I'll send you some of the latest artwork that we've used only a couple weeks ago.
Rocket Turtle's very popular. Express has a new logo, Express 5 with the train.
Yeah, we discussed yesterday, we're dropping it.
Oh, okay.
It's AI art, and we're going to hire an artist to produce a
Okay.
better, more ethically sourced logo for that. We'll hope to keep it. So we actually literally just discussed that yesterday on the meeting. So we'd happy to do that. We actually just got funding today for the first time ever from an external source. So we will be producing some artisanal vintage train Express 5 release train logos soon. So if we can get that done in time, we would love to participate in that, but we may not be able to. We have to, start.
Okay. Well, one thing just for folks who don't know, all of the logos for OpenJS and for all of the projects are in OpenJS artwork repo. I've just linked it. So if you're printing stickers, have fun. We'd love to do that for any project or OpenJS. Adrian?
Well, there could be another option. I will be attending, the event at Napa. I could bring some, and it's way easier to mail those from Colombia to Chile. We have a company that works in both countries that could take this easily there. I can transport from the States to Colombia, and then I can sync with Alfredo or the GSConf organizers to make sure they arrive.
I took all of our leftover stickers.
Oh,
In Ireland, we had 5 days,
okay.
but our wonderful friends at Basecamp, AMO, we had a JavaScript meetup in Dublin on last Thursday, and I gave all the leftover stickers to the organizers. Sorry, I know.
Well, was worth to try.
I know. Shoot, if I would have, yeah.
I know.
There weren't a ton. I mean, we had 5 days of events, but yeah. Plus GitHub University had stickers flying off the shelf.
All right. So just as a quick point of clarification to move on from that issue, do we, Ben, will you be sharing additional resources through that repository or directly with Alfredo?
I'll send them directly. I don't think this is the type of artwork we will put in the GitHub repo. It's basically the Node.js Rocket Turtle and then the Rainbow OpenJS sticker design.
All right, perfect. And Wes, if you complete your design process in time, same question. Through the issue directly or?
Yeah,
Not-
we would make that available.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. You're entirely welcome to stay. You can
I
also
will.
discreetly leave if that's what you prefer doing.
I will stay. Thanks
No
for the
pressure
invitation.
either way. All right. So okay. So in the interest of moving on and given folks eager to get to the next of the agenda, let's move to issue 1390, the election of CPC chair and vice chair. Do you have any update on this, Ben? I haven't looked at.
We've had 2 folks put their name in for chair and vice chair. So the nomination period ends tomorrow, and if we don't have any additionals, we will not proceed with an election because per your bylaws, if there's only one candidate for each role, we just proceed. Yeah, so I'll be checking in tomorrow to see if there's any additional ones, and if not, we'll just confirm the election.
Chris, you had a comment about this?
Yeah, I realize that we're it's a little bit late now, but earlier this is our first, I think, CPC meeting since the election issue was created. The last one was a working session. Does it make sense to have the chair and the vice chair election simultaneously? Like, as opposed to doing like the chair election and then the vice chair election? Because otherwise people might like run for both and all that sort of fun.
So I see one hand up to address this, and then I have a comment to make too. So please, Matteo, go ahead.
Too much voting. That's my
Oh shit,
comment.
that's the comment I was going to make.
Yeah, that we come from the same school, Toby. No, Chris, I want to. It will be fantastic to do it. In practice, we already do too much voting, and it's killing us. So if we can combine as many things as possible, it would be it's so much better. So this is the reason. There is not much. Like there are those things are not really contested most of the time. Okay, and for good or bad. Okay. Generically, those roles carries essentially a lot of work associated with them, and usually a servant leadership role and so on. So generically, it's a lot more work than the prestiges that come from it. I would have to say. So I hope I gave that.
Having been vice chair for a year, I would kind of agree with this. Like, there's actually a lot of things to do. Wes?
I just raised my hand to defend my comment and make sure Chris was not. I didn't mean that in a bad way. I was just joking because I remember when this came up, I don't know how long ago it was, but Toby made, I think, a very compelling and passionate case for consolidating. And I think it maybe even got brought up like multiple weeks in a row to try to get folks to, be in agreement and consensus. So I just wanted to like give that historical, bit of context so that folks who maybe weren't around when that discussion was ongoing. I think the general consensus was consolidate, as Matteo said, to make sure that we're not like constantly in a voting cycle.
Yeah, and I must say, frankly, that since we have consolidated things, it's actually a lot healthier and saner, for lack of a better word. And we spend a lot less time on this stuff. And so, whereas I see your point, Chris. Yeah, not worth the trade-off. Plus, we've had these discussions multiple times.
All right. Well, let's not spend a lot more time on it. Let's keep it moving.
Exactly.
happy-
Let's celebrate that
I'm
we
happy
don't
with
vote
these
for stuff
responses.
that much more. Okay, cool. Moving to this is odd. There's like an issue. Oh, GitHub repo community health files.
Oh, yeah.
Chris.
All right. Sorry, this is mine, and I sort of hijacked into the agenda here because it was at the end of the last agenda, and we don't have time. We ran out of time. This is hopefully something really quick. Ben was saying just ping him offline. This is all stuff that we talked about earlier. It just kind of got lost in the fray after we closed the issue on community health files, and that was to create a .github repo for the OpenJS Foundation where we would put the community health files, so the code of conduct, etc. So this is just an administrative thing. It's an ask for Ben to, and also subject to the approval of the council, to create a .github repo and presumably set the permissions equal to the same as the CPC would have right on the repo. And then we can start populating the community health files there.
So can we have an issue for this though? I mean, I understand there was an issue for it.
I mean,
but if it's been closed,
I think this is already too much ceremony. Let's just make it and move forward.
That was my thinking as well.
Like, it's just a repo, and if we disagree with the content in the files, we can talk about it on pull requests and bring it back to the meeting.
So I hear your point. My only concern is, given how the code of conduct is referenced across the board, I want to make sure that that reference actually works. And I'd rather not have this conversation now because the answer is probably unless the answer is probably super straightforward.
We have discussed this before in meetings and I think on
Okay.
issues. The answer is we pick one source of truth for this code of conduct text, and any other place that has been linked to contains a link to that source of truth. So like if we put the text in the code of conduct repo, then the .github one links there and vice versa. And
so
which
I'm
is
sorry
which
to
we can
ask
just like shed it later. Yeah.
I'm sorry to ask for ceremony, but can we have an issue to track this so we can have this conversation there? Thank you.
I created the issue, and I will link to the original issue where this comes from. That was closed.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to be a little bit annoying.
That's all right. And we can we can move on to other topics.
Wonderful. Perfect. 1389, should we have a foundation-wide Discord? So this was opened up at some point as a conversation on following the discussion about having a partnership for Node TSC. Since then, Node has moved forward with the partnership that they were discussing, there's different perspectives on this. What do people think that we should do with this conversation issue?
We've been having the same discussion on the Express side, and I think I'm definitely split because Discord is phenomenally better for managing a community. They have features for that Slack has committed to never implementing. They are company oriented. There's things you do at a company when somebody does something bad, you let them go. Discord is for open communities. It's got a whole bunch of features for onboarding people and doing a bunch of nice automation that Slack just won't really do. But at the same time, it is not for gaming, frankly, just to be clear. There's tons of programming communities on it already, and they're doing really well. And just to be clear, that is a thing even the Discord like PR department, I think, has tried to move away from. Either way, my point is, then there's the other side, which is I think equally important here, is that we have primarily folks using Slack in the ecosystem already, and splitting the ecosystem is significantly worse than taking the worst option from a community standpoint. So to me, I would say unless folks really wanted to migrate to Discord, which again, I'd be in favor of because again, the user experience is significantly better. We should
subjective.
The community. There are features there's moderation features that your only option is really to boot somebody from the community in Slack, and there are much more gradated ways to do that in Discord.
No, you're correct. It is a matter of opinion whether those variations actually are better. Whereas it seems it's much, in my experience moderating Slacks and IRCs for a decade and a half, it is much simpler to, as soon as you see a sign of a problem, you summarily evict the person until they show contrition and improvement, and that there's no use tolerating anyone within those grays. That is, of course, a position that's not objective. It's just
okay, yeah,
it's not universal.
Totally valid. There is a lot of subjectivity there. I wanted to make sure I focused more on the splitting the community is bad. And so despite my personal opinion of like what I think is the better UX, which is subjective, I think it is not worth splitting the ecosystem. And so if we're going to open any other communication channel, we need to have probably the discussion of whether we can even support multiple platforms from a moderation and community health standard first, before we discuss whether Discord is even a good option. That's my opinion there.
Oh, this looks like a topic that needs quite a conversation. And we have quite an agenda today. Should we do a working session on this? So that's one option. Option B would be, do we need to consider this at the foundation level, or could Express have this own discussion internally and see where it takes them and then bring it back to us once they know what they want to do? So these are kind of like the two ways I'm looking at this. And then I see Robin making comments in the chat, and Matteo has his hand up. So Matteo, please.
Okay, so okay, two things. First one, it's impossible to move people from Slack. Every single one of us use Slack every day. Okay, it's perfect.
Unfortunately, but sorry.
Unfortunately. Okay. Second one is that I need to go outside for a second, okay, because it just rings the bell, but this is completely irrelevant. The second one is Discord is great for projects. If you need to build a community today, we are going to do it now, okay, which is what we need to do. And we should encourage our project to create Discords because for all the things that was said, okay? But for us, OpenJS, I am absolutely against creating a Discord. Makes no sense right now. Because that I really need to go outside for a sec. Sorry.
Chris.
Sorry, I was looking for the GitHub issue. No, I don't think this needs further discussion, and bringing the Express at all into it is kind of like mudding the waters. The issue is, should we have a foundation-wide Discord? I think we've heard from everybody that we should not have a foundation-wide Discord. And regardless of our feelings about UX and whether the thing is for gaming or not, which it is, the resounding answer here is that we should not at this time have a foundation-wide Discord, and I think we should settle on that and close the issue. And if in the future, for some reason, problem arises that might be the solution to, then let's.
I 100% agree. I mean, migrating people, creating, a new work stream for the team to do that, managing potentially 2 sites is just not, I don't think the pros outweigh the cons out right now. So.
Just to be clear, I entirely understand, like, and probably agree with your point, Chris. My understanding of what the proposition was to have a foundation-wide Discord to then have projects, to make it easy for projects to run their own thing within that, not to replace Slack or to migrate folks. So I don't know if that changes, like what you were saying, Chris, but that was my understanding of what this was.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's an important distinction, that you wouldn't be migrating everything. But I think if you're not migrating everything, that's actually a less compelling case, because now you've got to split things. And the reality is, and as people are pointing out in the chat, where different communities are in Discord, like, yeah, and most of us who have been doing this for a while are already in all these things. We're in Slack, we're in Discord, we're in Matrix. And it's not going to change anytime soon that we have to like dual and triple wield all these different tools. So I ultimately don't think it's a barrier of entry for anyone to say, oh, if you want to interact with this OpenJS project, you have to use Slack. It's not like an undue burden.
Ulysses.
Yeah, I'm with Toby in this. I mean, the last time we discussed about this was because the Express team actually want to build a Discord, and our idea was, if we build a Discord just for building a Discord, might just don't work because we are a small community probably. So our idea was to see if the foundation was more open to manage a Discord the same way that we have on Slack where the projects live in, right? So I don't see, for example, that having on Slack just for Express makes sense, but I see that having the same Slack as the foundation makes a lot of sense, right? So I was thinking like if Discord was the same way, but I don't know how the people understand Discord. In my case, I'm probably not moving from Slack. And also the idea is not migrating from Slack. It's just open a new way of communicating with the people, I guess, right? But this new channel requires moderation. So that's also a lot of extra work. So that was the big question here.
Claudio, I know you're eager to get into Webpack. Is this why you reaching out? Or
No.
do you have a point to make about this?
I have a point to make about this. I'll try to be
okay.
succinct.
Please go ahead then.
So I think there's a bunch of distinctions I would like to make here. I always saw the OpenJS Slack as a workplace, like it's more like a meta Slack for work collaborators from all the projects from OpenJS, collaborate together also with OpenJS Foundation staff, and where we organize and have internal communications. I always seen as this way, hence why I believe the Slack is the best contender here because it is a thing for workplaces. It allows us to also have federated Slack channels with all organizations, mostly companies, that are also partners and support infrastructure like Sentry, Cloudflare, Vercel, etc., and other companies. On Discord, we would not have that. I don't think there is a need for having a Discord for OpenJS Foundation. If it's in the community perspective, make one for JavaScript Landia, but make it for community focused, oriented. That makes sense for me. But for me, Foundation should only have a Slack. I mean, it's in my opinion, a workplace. It's where internal collaborators and contributors, and of course, new contributors and community members can also arrive. But I barely see any actual questions regarding any of the those things there. Like the amount of people that are joining there to talk about, for example, have technical questions about Node.js or stuff like this, or very slim. I see a lot of people joining in the community standpoint, and I would actually rather prefer directing them to something like a JavaScript Language Discord or a JavaScript Language space. Or if you're arriving here because you want to talk about Express, see Express communities, or you want to talk about Node, see where are Node communities and stuff like this. Because otherwise it's too fragmented and maintainers of Node barely see what community people ask there. We're not looking at that, at least in the Node perspective. Webpack perspective, same. I'm not sure about Express. So, or Slack is a workplace, right? In my opinion, it's where CPC, staff, collaborators, maintainers from OpenJS Foundation collaborate together. Node, we are opening, a Discord server for Node, actually rebranding one because that makes sense. Node is a community. Node is an open source project, and the same applies for Electron. The same applies for many other projects that also have a Discord server. This is my take. I'm not saying this is the ultimate truth. It's just how I perceive things here.
All right. Thank you, Claudio. Chris, you had one thing to add to this?
Yeah, with regard to Ulysses' comments about Express possibly using Discord, like again, then we're like, we have both, right? And then we're gonna split. Like, what do you say on the here's how to contribute to Express, here's where you go for stuff? You're gonna say go to Discord or go to Slack, and now you've got like the both. Anyway, yeah, I think we'd just keep moving because I don't know if we have anything new to add here.
So to summarize this, it feels like we don't have agreement to move forward with something that would be foundation-wise. We have Express that's interested in potentially creating a Discord, but would need support to do that, or doesn't feel like it can do it by itself.
I think
I don't know that
the projects can make their own decision on where they.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that makes sense. I think the question at some point might be like, can a project get support for this? And this is a separate conversation, right? And I think in that case, either create a separate issue for this, or maybe just like open like some form of a request for support through the support request system that we have. Would that work as a, so could we just go ahead and close this and then decide like if Express wants help, it can either bring this as an issue to the CPC separately down the road? All right, well, hearing no comments about this, I'm just going to say that people agree with this and we can close this issue. I want to make sure that we can get to the Webpack issue. Where is it, by the way? Which issue is this? Oh, is that 1363? All right. Claudio, do you want to let us know what the status is?
As far as I know, the PR is open and I'm waiting for review. And as far as I know, Toby even addressed all your comments there. So I'm not sure what are the next steps. Should the rest of the CPC start reviewing it? Should they chime in, approve, request changes? How does it work?
Can you share the link to
I can
is
share the
this
link to the PR.
governance is that
Governance pool number 1.
Yeah, so my understanding was Evan last week said, thanks for the review, we'll address the changes soon and we request another one. So I was kind of waiting on that to happen. And in the meantime, if people want to add to this, I think that's entirely fine too, obviously. For reference, in the chat, here's the, Claudio shared it in chat. If folks from the CPC want to go have a look at this, I think that's great. And they entirely should.
Can we
Do you
put
have any
a,
specific questions?
can we put a time box on this, since they've been very patient, and maybe what, 2 weeks from the last comment to try to help them along? We have a lazy consensus: if we don't have feedback, then accept the changes in 2 weeks.
Right, sure, but I would like the comments I made to be addressed.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I'm entirely, I agree, we need to drive this forward, which should be clear. But it seems like the ball is not in the CPC's camp here.
Okay.
What do you mean by that? What's the CTA here?
I mean, there's a bunch of comments and a comment from Evan that those comments will be addressed. And so, like that needs to be addressed, and then we can move forward. Right?
Right. I do have the personal feeling that some comments are nitpicks. Some I think we can work on. Others.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, that's entirely fine. Like, I'm not suggesting every comment should be accepted. Like, they should be addressed. Like, it doesn't mean it should be included. Sure. I mean, obviously.
But still, I would like that other people went and seen the diff, and if they have anything to add, lazy consensus. Because again, you were the only one that reviewed so far. It will be cool if other people chimed in if they want. If they don't, well, I'm not going to force.
Right,
but then,
Claudia, how about you all review it in the next Webpack meeting, and then in 2 weeks' time, this group, when we meet again, can review and hopefully close it.
That is fair.
Awesome.
So 2 weeks for addressing Toby requested changes, and then we will review next 2 weeks. Okay.
Cool.
I mean, just to be clear, like I think like there's been tremendous work on this, and this is really good. Like I'm expecting this to be to be approved and move forward. So I'm really like, I don't see a concern, right? Just to be clear. Whereas I did voice concerns in the past. I think like there's a ton of work that's been done, and so this is really moving forward in the right direction. I'm just pointing out that like.
+1 for all the new folks who have stepped in. Yeah, super appreciative. Yeah. All right, let's
absolutely.
Keep it
all right.
Move it along.
And so let me go back to I'm just taking notes at the same time. To close issue, express and feel free. Okay. 13 cents. So I'm going to do we know what status of the 1387 and 1386 native script TSC charter are? Is anyone on top of what this is? Because we only have like a few minutes left. I want to make sure
native script charter, one of the, as I understand it, is that some of the folks involved in NativeScript want to put an affiliation clause in there that prevents one company from controlling it, and the other folks from that company don't want that clause. And I'm not sure how we can intervene if the project doesn't have consensus.
Now I know what this is about. Yes. I feel like we should do like a specific session on this and have a conversation with the TSC and help the TSC through. Because as you say, like our role is not to intervene here, but clearly I'm uncomfortable about accepting, validating a charter change of that nature, where the vote is so split. I think it needs a conversation. Matteo.
Well, and I know that this project, oh, sorry, go ahead, Matteo.
I frankly, two bits. First, the first thing is we have that requirement for impact projects. Okay, we do not have that requirement for at-large projects. Okay, this is very clear. Like we put it in that way very specifically. Okay, because at-large projects have minimal governance generically. Okay, and therefore they need to be allowed for one company essentially to run the show. Mostly because in a lot of cases it is one or two people. Okay, so there's literally not much. Okay. NativeScript is, for various reasons, even for the type of use and so on, a good candidate for going impact stage. Okay. And the fact that they have not done so, it's potentially problematic. Okay. Like the current charter change is, I think, problematic. From my point of view, anyway, there is not much we can do in that sense. It's so, in fact, if that's the change, like they have a process, we approved the charter before, which essentially means that I don't see how we can say no to their request. Okay. Anyhow, I think a call with them, a private call with them, is probably required. Okay, and discuss essentially both things. But frankly, I don't see. Like I would be. I don't want to set the precedent. Okay, that we do not validate a charter change when the previous charter give that majority. According to the government that we have approved in the past, we say no because they approved it themselves. Okay, and it doesn't go against whatever the foundation stands for. Like that charter change goes towards what the foundation believes in. So I can't be. How can we be opposed?
Chris.
Yeah, so I agree with, I think, most of what Matteo is saying. But ultimately, yeah, I don't think we should be meddling in their decision making. And they have followed their own process per their existing charter, per their decision making process, and they followed that. And this reflects that. I don't think that we have any right to be going up to them and saying, well, hang on for this decision. Like, no, the time to say hang on about decision-making process was in the original charter. If we had a problem about their decision-making process that they said there, and that the simple majority, they shouldn't do that, and et cetera. But you can't come now after the fact and say that now you've got a problem with it. So they followed their process. I think the change is frankly a good one. I find it hard to object to their charter change that they voted on per their decision-making process. I don't know what else there is to really discuss about it.
Yes, so without my vice chair hat on at all, I just I agree with both of your points. I do feel that this is not about governance, but this is about having a discussion and figuring out what is best for the project. And the role of the CPC here is to have that conversation. And if the output of that conversation, if the outcome of that conversation is we still want to run this that way and we voted on this and that's how we roll, right? That's entirely fine. but I think that we ought to have the conversation first, because it spells out it's clearly there's clearly a conflict here. There's some form of disagreement that would be better managed differently. Chris?
I might agree with you if representatives from the project were reaching out to the OpenJS Foundation or the council in some way to help mediate, but otherwise, just coming from the request to modify the charter, and then saying, well, hang on a minute, that seems a little bit like overreach to me.
I look at it as support, not overreach. And I mean, there's literally 2 issues open on this topic.
We only have 2 more minutes until we need to go to private session.
Fair point.
So I think it's fine.
Do people object that we
so that's what I was going to say
have
is,
a conversation?
I think we should offer our help if they're interested in it. We should also say it is not our role to intervene in the way the project is run, and then just have a working session depending on their response.
So I don't necessarily object, but I want to understand what the communication is going to be and what the goal is for what is being done. What is, if the CBC is reaching out to them for the support, what is the end game for that? What is the reason? What is the outcome that you would like to see? But yeah, I agree. We need to move on. So maybe we can't settle this right now and need to just continue discussion later.
Well, we have 1 minute left because we're not going to get to any other issue right now. Well, we no longer have 1 minute left. All right, folks. We'll continue discussing this in a couple of weeks, and or async in the issue itself until then. And I think it's time for us to move into the private session to discuss travel fund request. And so let's stop recording this call. Thank you very much for all of you for attending. And yes, I was going to say,